that
Got
your
it.
computer?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm trying to figure out where that.
Accepted on behalf of the AFL-CIO, correct? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. We'd rather have you here anyway.
Yeah, started.
Okay, we're about to begin. This meeting is called to order at 6 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We are being broadcast live over Van Buren Television 12 and on YouTube. Deputy Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yeah, Trustee Frazier. Here. Trustee Kelly.
Here.
Trustee Boynton.
Here.
Trustee Martin. Here. Treasurer Bud. Here. Clerk Wright is excused, and Supervisor McNamara.
Here. I think right now we're supposed to go to, why do I go to first item of the agenda? Okay, first item, amend the agenda. Treasurer Bud, could you make the motion on the agenda?
I make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented with the addition of item number 11, which will be to consider approval of an engineering standard variance request for tractor supply, and then change the 11 and 12 to 12 and 13.
Give me 1 second here, okay? These are not in the same order for some reason. Okay. Okay, I've got a motion. I need support.
Support.
I've got a motion, I've got support. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Next item is executive summary of the agenda. We do have a long agenda today. It begins with paying our everyday bills in the consent agenda. Also, there's the approval of the appointment of our trustee, Will Frazier, who will join the board as a board liaison to the Water and Sewer Commission. We will have a proclamation today by Trustee Martin, who will give it to the AFL-CIO, who has sent Representative Reggie Miller here for Workers' Memorial Day. We also have new business, which includes discussions on engineering standard variance for Tractor Supply Company, purchase of 2 F-150 trucks for our Water and Sewer Department, purchase of 8 new precinct tabulators and 7 ADA accessible voting machines. We're also going to have a discussion on our Network System Administration Personal Service Agreement for Gary Dosey, who's our newest employee, with your approval. Discussion on the first reading of an ordinance to add provisions for commercial office and industrial planned unit developments, and discussion on the first reading of an ordinance to rezone 12 properties near Van Buren and Haggerty to M1 Light Industrial. We'll have discussion on selection of American Fireworks Company for the 2025 Van Buren Township Fireworks Show. There'll be discussion on the selection of P Group for the Van Buren Park, and there'll be a front section CIP design plan, which will have discussion on 2 board actions for the selection of Pioneer Landscape for lawn maintenance for the 2025 through 27 seasons. There'll be a discussion on engineering standard variance request for Sheets Gas Station. And there'll be discussion on the contract for the Tyler Road Sidewalk Gap Project, which we have we are fast tracking because of the way that the grant money came in. We're actually going to be bringing forward a winner of today's opening bid that they've already vetted. We'll have discussion of the second reading of an ordinance to rezone Belleville Road into a multifamily C1 general business, and that would be it, which is enough. We're moving on to adoption of the amended agenda. We've already got that one moved through. Did I miss something here? Amend this section, top of the agenda. No? Okay, so we're moving on to adoption of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion and can somebody read through it?
Through the chair. Through the chair.
Let's, Will would like to do one. I'll, go ahead, Will. Frazier?
And we accept tonight's agenda,
You gotta read it.
the consent agenda
Yes.
for the board minutes of March 18th, 2025, for the prepaid list of March 20th, 2025, prepaid list of March 27th, 2025, voucher list of April 1st, prepaid list of April 3rd, prepaid list of April 10th, the voucher list of April 15th, and the approval of trustee Will Frazier as board liaison to the Water and Sewer Commission.
Board.
I've got a second by Commissioner, Trustee Boynton, old life. Hearing no further discussions, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This passes.
Chair, through the chair.
Yes.
Did we vote on the adopted agenda, the regular agenda?
We did, yes, somehow,
Agenda,
We just got out of order.
we got out of order.
Yeah.
you still have to vote on the adoption of the agenda.
Do I have to vote on the adoption of the agenda, or do I have to vote?
We already did.
We did that?
Yeah.
We amended and adopted.
Carry amended.
We amended it and it,
You're right, I noticed that it was out of order, and I
Just out of
thought,
order.
okay.
All right.
Which made me freeze too for a while there. All right, public hearing, we have none. Correspondence, announcements, and presentations. Start with Judge Martin. I understand you're here. We'll start with Judge Martin.
Supervisor. As you just indicated, I'm Judge Lisa Martin from the 34th District Court. I wanted to come to you tonight to invite you to our 4th Annual Community Day at the court. That will be on Thursday, May the 1st, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. This day coincides with Law Day, which is the national day dedicated to promoting public understanding of the role of the court in society. We will offer tours of the building. There will be public safety demonstrations by the fire and police departments from Belleville, Sumter, Huron, Van Buren, and Romulus. There will be inflatables for the children, food trucks. Our special guests will be 334th graders from Romulus Elementary Schools and from Rawsonville and Tyler Schools in Van Buren Township. They will have the opportunity to meet with the 3 judges, ask any questions they want to ask, and the questions over the last 3 years have been wonderful. There will also be lunch provided to the 4th graders from Kroger, and we will have a Do You Know the Law trivia contest. So we're looking forward to this 4th annual, again, May 1st, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Dan, do you want to come up next, Deputy Supervisor Salmon?
Yes, thank you, Supervisor. I just want to take a brief moment here. I noticed in the April 3rd edition of the Independent, the passing of Mr. James Pollard. And it caught my attention because he was not only a longtime community member, I believe here since 1962, but he was a fixture in our senior center, especially pre-COVID. And he was an avid pickleball player well into his 90s. And also caught my attention because in the 2019 or so, the communications department did a very nice spotlight and profile of Mr. Pollard. And it was very professionally produced, and I know that his family really appreciated it, and everybody, you know, really loved him. He always had a great big smile on his face. So I know I called one of his sons, Paul, who was one of our, you know, assistants with him in helping produce that piece for Mr. Pollard, and he was just very appreciative. And he kind of jokingly said when Mr. Pollard was out and about, he would jokingly say, you know, I'm kind of famous, you know, to a waitress or so. I'm, you know, I'm on YouTube. I've got all these hundreds of views for this piece that was produced for him. So I just wanted to take a minute and to recognize Mr. Pollard's passing. He died at the age of 96. He was surrounded by family, passed in his home, and I just want to take a moment to recognize Mr. Pollard.
Yeah, thank you. He was the first guy I've ever saw play pickleball. I never saw the game before. I go, you're playing. I said, that's an interesting game. He says, I'm 90. What? No. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. All right, I got it, I'm holding off on Kevin Martin's thing because it's a bigger thing. But we did get a meritorious service award from Western Wayne County Urban Search and Rescue. On February 25th, Western Wayne Urban Search and Rescue Team responded to a complex and dangerous trench collapse incident in the alleyway behind a street in Wyandotte. A construction worker was buried and critically trapped in a trench over 14 feet deep. I know from construction, this is one of the biggest nightmares in the world. I mean, how do you get them out of there without that thing completely burying you like quicksand? They actually have people that are trained to do that, and one of those people, happily, is Allison Greff of the Van Buren Fire Department, and she has received a meritorious service award for her help in saving that person, which is wonderful. I also, Director Locke, did you want to speak on this cleanup thing that you got going, or do you want me to just read it in? Okay, Saturday, May 3rd, 10 a.m. to 12, 2 hours, Van Buren Park. We're doing a service cleanup, and we actually get quite a few people show up for this, which is pretty cool. So, Rosemary helps out getting the word out. And it's kind of fun. You play around in the park, you pick up some papers, you spread some mulch, help us clean up some of our stuff. It's nice. So that's coming up very quickly, and I hope that everybody can go. And then we have some open houses coming up. But go ahead, Larry.
So, since
Director?
you brought that up, Supervisor,
Okay.
I would like to say our township is in bad shape for litter around our roadways. So I'm here before you to say, as a resident of the township, we all need to pitch in and help keep our roadways clean, please. Thank you.
Yeah, we never ever spent money cleaning up these roadways. We never had to. We had community service through the courts. Well, it's a different system now, and it's not their fault. There's supervision involved, there's transportation involved, there's insurance, there's liability. And it just got to the point that they don't do that anymore. So we've had to go out and hire people to do it, and we've been doing that, but it gets pretty expensive. It'd be nice if people start picking up around the subdivisions and HOAs. Okay, Trustee Martin, this is all you. Representative Miller, you might want to join him as a representative of AFL-CIO.
Good evening. On behalf of the Van Buren Area Little League, I have a message from their president, and he would like to invite the board to come and celebrate with us on our opening day, which is May 3rd, 2025. We have a new board of directors, and we want to create a community environment within the Little League going forward. Please let me know if all or some of you can make it. I have his contact information. If anybody is interested in going, I will contact him and let him know so he can be expecting us.
Okay.
I would ask that we all come out and support this. I don't know if anybody's been to Little League opening day, but they have a big parade where the teams start from McBride School and they march to Beck Field, and they have a ceremony and they take the field and then they start playing ball. So, quite something to see. Okay, Representative Miller.
Great.
Van Buren Charter Township has a proclamation for Workers' Memorial Day. Whereas on April 28th, 1971, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, went into effect, promising every worker the right to a safe job. And whereas every year on April 28th, communities and work sites honor friends, family members, and colleagues who have been killed or injured on the job. And whereas the U.S. Department of Labor and the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that Michiganders have died while on the job at an average rate of 147 people per year over the past decade. And whereas the 2024 National Census of Fatal Occupational Injuries found a worker died every 99 minutes from a work-related injury. And whereas it is appropriate to honor the memory of the courageous and dedicated members of Michigan's labor force who have been injured, disabled, or have died as a result of workplace accidents. And whereas we remember those who have died in workplace catastrophes, suffered occupational-related diseases, or have been injured due to dangerous conditions. And whereas recognition of the integrity of Michigan's workforce and its achievements on behalf of the economic growth of our state is necessary. And whereas the Charter Township of Van Buren wishes to pay tribute to the workers who have died or been injured or disabled in workplace accidents. We honor the contributions of Michigan's workforce and call for increased workplace safety. And whereas the Charter Township of Van Buren renews efforts to seek stronger workplace safety, health protections, standards, and enforcement, and fair and just compensation, the township rededicates itself to improving safety and health in every municipal workplace. Let it be resolved, the Charter Township of Van Buren hereby proclaims April 28th, 2025 as Workers' Memorial Day and urges all citizens to recognize and honor the contributions of Michigan's workforce and call for increased workplace safety standards. And on behalf of Van Buren Township, I present this proclamation to State Representative Reggie Miller on behalf of the AFL-CIO in Van Buren Township.
Thank you so much. If I could just say a few words. As we know, April 28th is...
Speech, I mean, they can't
I'm
hear
not
you.
loud enough?
No, you're not actually. On YouTube, they won't hear you.
How loud I am.
Yes.
No. Thank you so much. This is an honor. We have to recognize and honor the workers that have been hurt on the job, killed on the job, disabled. It's important to recognize the work that they did and are doing. Just recently, we had a Detroit man who was 62 years old who was just recently killed at the job at Stellantis in Dundee. It's awful. So this is an important recognition, and I thank you so much, Trustee Martin, and I accept it on behalf of the AFL-CIO and also the state of Michigan. Thank you all.
Okay.
It's okay. Can we get a picture?
Moving on, does anybody else have any comments, comments from the board? No? Public comments. We're at the public comment section. Does anybody from the public wish to make comments on anything that we're going to deal with today? No? We moving on. I think the first item is going to be the purchase of two F-150 pickup trucks from Atchison Ford at a cost of $47,000 each. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Yes, Trustee Kelly.
I move to consider approval of the purchase of two F-150 pickup trucks from Atchison Ford at a cost of $47,000 each, totaling $94,000 to be paid from account 592-536-971-000, Water Capital Outlay Vehicles and Equipment.
Thank you, Trustee Boynton. All right, Director Minor.
Evening, Board. Here to have you consider the approval of the two 2025 F-150s from Atchison Ford, each costing $47,000. It's to replace a 2010 and a 2011 pickup that's in the fleet right now. If you have any questions, they're pretty run down, rusted out. They're
What are we
due
doing
for
with the 2010 and 11?
most likely auction.
Okay. Any questions? All right, I've got a motion by Trustee Kelly and supported by Trustee Boynton. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Gets tough around here sometimes, huh?
Thank you.
I can't tell you how long it used to take to get to buying a truck around here. Next item is a discussion on and consider approval of the purchase of 8 new precinct tabulators and 7 ADA accessible tabulators. Can I get a motion? Mr. Boynton, Trustee Boynton.
I move that we approve the purchase of 8 new precinct tabulators and 7 updated ADA acceptable voting machines at a cost of $74,319.
Support.
Support by Kelly. All right, Deputy Treasurer.
Deputy Clerk.
Good evening, Board. So basically, we have outdated tabulators. So last year, we asked you if we could replace our high-speed scanning machines, which you let us. And then in December of last year, we secured a $30,000 grant to upgrade our precinct laptops and election staff computers. So the last thing is the precinct equipment. So we have the new tabulators that are out. They're faster, and they're offering a $1,000 credit per machine. That's why we're asking right now. And then we're also asking to replace the ADA accessible voting devices because they're just basic tablets, and we've had them for 8 years, so they just don't work very well. To help offset some of the costs, we actually just received our reimbursement from the November early voting staffing costs. So that was $12,825. Any questions?
You only got $12,000 from the state for that early voting?
No. So we got, each election, we got a different amount. We got a very large amount in February, so that covered all early voting costs, staffing, equipment. August and November, they decreased.
$12,000.
Yeah, no. August, they allowed us to get equipment again, just like in February, which we did get all of our early voting equipment through grants, so we didn't have to buy any of that. This was just, by the time we got to November, the only thing they would cover were the staffing costs for early voting only. So that's why that number's lower.
Okay. How much more equipment you need?
Should be good after this.
I have no question. Anybody else? No. Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Boynton, supported by Trustee Kelly. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We move on. Next item is the discussion and consider approval of Gary Dorsey's personal service agreement. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve of Mr. Gary Dorsey's personal service agreement for the Network Systems Administrator in Information Technology.
Trustee Bud. Director Sumter.
Board, I would like to introduce Gary Dorsey. He is here tonight for the approval to join our IT department as the new network system administrator. Gary has extensive experience, over 27 years actually, in the public school system. In this role, if approved tonight, he will be instrumental in ensuring that all information systems, networks operate according to the internal and external standards, as well as our legal requirements. In addition to enhancing our internal IT systems, supporting infrastructure upgrades, and ensuring the reliability and security of our digital operations, he brings an array of, accolades. He was highly, recommended. There you go, thank you. He was highly recommended by other municipalities as well as our previous IT director. With that, do you have anything you want to say, Brad? And with that, I'll take any questions the board may have.
The position Brad used to have, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just let you know what he's doing. All right, well, no, I've got no further questions, so I'm gonna call Trustee Boynton, supported by Treasurer Bud. I hear no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Board.
Welcome. Come on up, and we want to shake your hands and say thank you for coming in here. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Next item is going to be a discussion on the consider approval of a first reading for an ordinance for zoning ordinance amendment to add provisions for office and industrial planned unit developments. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair.
Mr. Kelly.
We consider approval of the first reading of ordinance 04-15-251, the zoning ordinance amendment to add provisions for commercial, office, and industrial planned unit.
Mr. Martin? Okay. Can Director Akers, sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Zoning ordinance for Van Buren Township has regulations for planned residential developments and encourages flexible land use options for residential developments only. The township does not have the same flexible development options for non-residential oriented development. So the recently adopted redevelopment ready communities marketing and economic development plan identified several priority sites within the township. Most, if not all, the remaining large 50-plus acre industrially zoned parcels are severely encumbered by wetlands, watercourses, environmental concerns, and other issues. Development of these parcels is extremely challenging under their current zoning regulations. Adopting a land development ordinance with flexible industrial, commercial, and office mixed-use capabilities can allow for development of these parcels while preserving natural features and cleaning up areas of these sites. Modern industrial businesses, now cleaner and more eco-friendly due to technological advancements, support a mix of industries from light manufacturing to tech-driven firms, alongside commercial and office space. This adaptability enhances economic resilience and provides businesses with room to grow. Moreover, mixed-use development promotes efficient land use, reduces commutes, and fosters synergy between industrial and commercial sectors, attracting new businesses, increasing tax revenue, and supporting sustainable community growth. So based on this concept, the township's planning consultant did prepare a draft text amendment. The Planning Commission formed a subcommittee which reviewed and worked with our consultants to address some of the concerns they have with the draft and create an ordinance amendment, which is before you now. The Planning Commission held the public hearing on March 26, 2025, where there were no comments received, and they made the recommendation that the Township Board approve this text amendment. The subcommittee did spend a lot of time on this one over the past few months, and we're looking forward to being able to have these tools to help with these types of developments. This concludes my summary, and I can answer any questions the board has.
I don't have a question. No, we just, I mean, it's getting more. You're right. The pieces of property we've got left in Van Buren Township are wonderful pieces of property, but they've all got something. So this will help. That's good. All right, I have a motion, and it's been motioned by Trustee Kelly, supported by Trustee Martin. Hearing no, was that how that went? Yeah. Hearing no further discussion, this is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Stay there. Discussion to consider approval of first reading of an ordinance to amend to rezone 12 properties near Van Buren and Haggerty Road. Can I get a motion?
Chair.
Trustee Martin?
Make a motion to consider approval of first reading of ordinance 04-15-25, parentheses 2, a zoning ordinance amendment to rezone 12 properties near Van Born and Haggerty Road to M1 light industrial.
Can I get support? Boynton, Trustee Boynton. Okay, Director Akers.
Thank you. Ashley Capital Crossroads North submitted a request to amend the township zoning map by rezoning several properties that they own from R1B single-family residential or MT Industrial Transportation District to the M1 Light Industrial District designation. The 12 lots totaling 15.29 acres primarily have frontage along Van Born roads, with 2 fronting Haggerty Road and 1 without frontage positioned near the corner of Ecorse and Haggerty. The applicant has has seeked several rezoning requests over the years with the same general area. As the applicant acquires and consolidates smaller parcels in the area, which are essentially surrounded by the Crossroads North Distribution Center. So staff and our consultants have reviewed the rezonings and found that they are consistent with the township's master plan and the standards of approval in the township zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on March 26, 2025, where we heard no comments on the rezoning, and the Planning Commission at that meeting recommended approval of the rezoning to the Board of Trustees. This concludes my summary, and I can answer any questions the board may have.
Okay, I don't have any questions. These are, to me, this is one of the reasons I don't like zoning. Somebody 50 years ago called this property residential, and you know darn well it's not residential. It's got freeways, it's got freeway access, it's surrounded by industrial, it's industrial. So, any other questions? Nope. Okay, I got a motion by trustee Martin, supported by trustee Boynton. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is discussion on to consider approval of the selection of American Fireworks Company. Can I? Trustee Boynton.
I move that we approve the selection of American Fireworks Company as the contractor for the 2025 Van Buren Township Fireworks Show.
Thank you.
For $25,000.
Okay. Support? Treasurer Bud.
Thank you.
Okay. Director Zanglein.
Hello and good evening. It's always great to come before the board for recreation because we're always bringing new and fun things for our community. Tonight we're talking about fireworks. I gave you a handout because Treasurer Bud thankfully found a typo within our proposal from American Fireworks Company that dealt with the dates. So this is an email from our director to the American Fireworks Company, just clarifying those dates to make sure that we're all on the same page, literally, with this email. So what you have before you, the Van Buren Recreation Committee recommends to the Van Buren Board of Trustees the low qualifying bid for the 2025 Van Buren Township Fireworks Display to the American Fireworks Company of Hudson, Ohio. The amount is totaling $25,000 from the Park Contracted Services account number 101-755-819-000. You have in your board packet a tally of the shot totals. So when we look at this, the recommendation was made based on the total number of individual fireworks or shots quoted, along with a variety of sizes and individual shots. The committee agreed that the American Fireworks Company offered the greatest number of fireworks shots in a desirable range of sizes from under 3 inches to 6 inches in diameter, which creates interesting firework effects in the sky up to 600 feet with varying widths and visual effects. Furthermore, we have hired American Fireworks Company for the 2023 and the 2024 Van Buren Township Fireworks Show. We've been very pleased with their professionalism and their quality of performance. So on behalf of the committee, I'm asking for the board to approve American Fireworks Company as a selected vendor and to authorize the township supervisor and clerk to sign the contract. If you have any questions about the numbers or information that's in the packet, I'm happy to answer that.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
What happened in the packet that we got from the contractor, they had quoted the show dates incorrectly as July and June. So the date is June 28th with the rain date being the 29th. Of course, we don't want that to happen. So we pray to the gods that everything goes well.
It's going to be the usual, right?
Yep, Beck Ball Fields.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. I've got a motion by trustee Boynton, supported by treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Director.
You're there.
Okay. Next item is discussion, where am I? 722. Means 8. Discussion on to consider approval of the selection of PEA Group for Van Buren Parks. Can I get a motion? And could you read it?
Through the chair,
Trustee Kelly?
I move to consider approval of the selection of PEA Group for the Van Buren Park Front Selection Capital Improvement Design Plan for $29,500 plus reimbursable expenses.
Support.
Trustee Boynton? Okay, Director, okay, go ahead, Director.
Good evening, Board. So the Van Buren Township Parks Department is looking to develop a conceptual park design plan, which will include estimates of probable construction costs for the redesign of the front section of Van Buren Park. So the redesign would look to improve the existing features in the park, such as the community garden, the sled row area, as well as improve the natural aesthetics of the park's landscaping in order to make the park more visible to the public, as well as to bring consistency with the brand of our other parks in the township, and will also provide more opportunities for community engagement at Van Buren Park. So on February 16th of 2025, an RFP was issued seeking proposals for the park design plan. This park design plan will include estimates of probable construction costs, recommended phases of construction timelines for the front section redesign, and will also include a public engagement as part of the design process. On March 20th of 2025, we opened bids from 8 design firms. These bids ranged in costs from $29,500 all the way up to $86,363. We are recommending to the Board of Trustees to award the project to the low bid, which is from PEA Group, with a contract in the amount of $29,500. PEA Group is well known to the township already. Their work in the township includes the award-winning redesign of French Landing Park, Quirk Park, the design of the landscape architecture of the VBC, as well as work on the Iron Bell Trail. So again, we are asking you to consider approval of the selection of PEA Group for the Van Buren Park Front Section Capital Improvement Design Plan for $29,500. This project is fully funded by the Wayne County Millage Grant IGA number 2025-151. And if you have any questions.
Any questions? In fact, okay, so we had a plan on the park. We were going to, what we were gonna do was replace those, what do they call the pavilions? The pavilions. How many did we replace? All of them, I think. 4.
3.
3?
Yep, there's 3 at Van Buren Park.
And there's no more to be done, right?
The pavilions are all set with that.
They're all done? Yes. Okay. We were gonna put in a park for kids. We did that. We were gonna put an Iron Bell Trail. We did that. We found more money. We fixed the saddle. We did that. We did some upgrades to the beach. We did that. We don't know where to go. We redid the ski hill, which is beautiful, by the way, and I loved how much people used it over the winter. We did that. So now we're trying to get a plan, and once we get the plan, we're gonna take that plan out and sell it to the Ralph Wilson Fund and the other people that give grants and see if we can get some more money and take it to another level.
Right, and especially like the look of the park when people are driving by on the freeway and the service drive, a lot of it is not very noticeable as a park. So a lot of people don't realize, even though it's our largest park, that a lot of people don't realize that that's there.
No.
So,
but I mean, we've done an amazing job. I think we got grants for all 3 of the pavilions. I think we got with the $500,000 saddle at the, I think we paid for that sled hill, but the Iron Bell Trail was all grants. I mean, a lot of grants. The playground was all grants. Thank you very much. Yeah, Elizabeth and Tammy. Okay, so this is trying to design a new plan going forward for that park. Now, do you have any questions? Hearing no further questions, I have a motion by Trustee Kelly, supported by Trustee Boynton. Hearing no further questions, all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you. You're PEA, right? No. Fishbeck?
No,
Near.
Fishback is in the back.
Okay, oh, okay, all right. All right, next item is discussion to consider approval of selection of Pioneer Landscaping. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Trustee Treasurer?
I make a motion, we approve the selection of Pioneer Landscaping to do the lawn maintenance and the landscape maintenance for 2025 through 2027 at a cost of $131,700.
Can I get a motion, a second?
Second.
Trustee Kelly. Okay, Director Luckett.
This evening for you to consider the selection of Pioneer Landscaping and Lawn Maintenance Services for our landscaping for our 25 through 27 season. This expense will be paid from our contracted services account 101-265-819-000. On March 17th, we had a pre-bid meeting. On March 27th, we did the bid openings. The township went out for a 3-year landscaping maintenance service bid for 25 through 27. The bid included all township properties, the schedule and required maintenance. The township received 2 bids for the project, and the bids were $131,700, and the second bid was $169,215. After reviewing the bids and checking the references, the township is recommending that the Board of Trustees award the bid to Pioneer Landscaping and Lawn Maintenance in the bid amount of $131,700. And again, this expense will be paid out of the contracted service line item. I'll take any questions, and I have Bob in the audience from Pioneer Landscaping.
I'm happy with Pioneer. Did you include the bridge causeway?
We did.
What?
I believe the bridge is part of the DDA.
Yes.
But I know which one you're asking about. Yes, we.
Yes.
Yes.
That road bridge.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it is included.
It is
Yes.
included, okay.
But of course, Supervisor, with, the addition to the upgrades to that bridge.
The
we'll
idea
see.
is not to need him, but
Yes.
I don't trust architects or engineers half the time. They're gonna leave me with something, us with something. All right, okay. I have no questions. You guys? No? Anybody down there? No? Okay, I've got a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Kelly. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. You're right, stay, both of you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we consider approval of the selection of Pioneer Landscaping and Lawn Maintenance for 2025-2027. Lawn mowing maintenance services at a cost of $447,300.
Okay, I need a support.
Support.
Treasurer Bud. Okay, Director Luckett?
All righty, good evening again, Board. So I'm before you again for you to consider the selection of our fine landscaping and maintenance contractor, Pioneer, for our lawn mowing services. This will be in the cost for $447,300. This expense will be paid out of our contracted services line item, 101-265-819-000. And Pioneer is the encumbered. They did all of our lawn mowing for the past 3 years, and they did a fine job. So I'm recommending approval for this contract as well.
Any questions? All right, then I've got a motion by Trustee Boynton, supported by Treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Director.
Yep, thank you.
Next item is consider approval of engineering standards variance request for Sheets Gas Station, and I'd like to add in the Tractor Supply request for variance on that item. Can somebody make that? You want to make that, Treasurer Bud?
Do we want them both together?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I would make a motion, we approve the engineering standards variance requests for Sheets Gas Station
Okay.
and for Tractor Supply.
Okay, thank you, Board. I will go through,
Okay.
We didn't get support. We need
Oh,
support.
I need support.
Support.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you, Board. So I will go through both, summary of both requests. So we'll start with Sheets. The Sheets project was granted special land use approval last year, as well as preliminary site plan approval. The project's been undergoing engineering review and has run into some current concerns regarding the differences between the township's engineering standards and the Wayne County Stormwater Ordinance. They are requesting variances from our engineering standards from the Township Board for two specific items, and this is Sheets. And so the first one is for detention basins. We have a requirement in our engineering standards that detention basins must be designed to have a permanent pool with a minimum depth of 4 feet. And then the second standard they're requiring a deviation from is there is a required 25-foot buffer strip to be maintained at the top bank around the detention basin. The Township's Engineering Standards Manual grants the Township Board the authority to grant variances from the standard and outlines the requirements for doing so. That standard is in the cover letter. I'm not going to read through it, but all the conditions are in there. So the reason for these variance requests are that the townships, so as you know, the township has our engineering standards for stormwater, and so does Wayne County. The township's engineering standards were last updated in 2014, and those standards were intended to mirror many of the Wayne County standards at that time. The Wayne County stormwater standards were updated comprehensively in 2021 and have included many changes and many updates. And so both of the above-mentioned variance requests are both allowable under the Wayne County's updated standards. So what we did in the cover letter is we went through and evaluated each standard separately. So we'll look at the first standard where it says detention basins must be designed to have a permanent pool with a minimum depth of 4 feet. The main argument that the applicant makes for this request is that by allowing a dry pond, we reduce the potential impact that a fuel spill may have on the site. They also indicate that the site has high groundwater elevation as well, which will further make that issue worse. So based on this, the submitted letter, a variance can be granted based on the findings that a dry detention pond will reduce the risk of unintended interaction between gasoline and groundwater. The change will not substantially deviate from the performance of the drainage system. The change is not intended to have a negative impact on adjacent properties, and then this change complies with Wayne County stormwater standards. For the second requirement, the 25-foot buffer strip shall be maintained at the top bank around the detention basin. The main discussion points from the submitted letter from the project engineers were in relation to the larger buffers and their impacts on wetland areas and floodplain areas on the site. As many of you know, this area, which is at the E-Course Haggerty Road corridor, sees flooding during heavy rain events, and those floodplain and wetland areas do help to store some of the water. Limiting disturbance in these areas is generally in the best interest with regards to flooding and limiting impacts. And so based on this submitted letter, a variance can be granted based on the following findings. Allowing a 15-foot vegetative buffer as opposed to a 25-foot buffer will limit the site's impact on existing wetland and floodplain areas. The change will not substantially deviate from the performance of the drainage system. The change is not intended to have a negative impact on adjacent properties, and the change complies with the Wayne County stormwater standards. So with this letter, we've discussed these changes with our township engineers and the variance requests, and that they didn't have any concerns with those variances. One of the things that we're going to do in the future is we're going to be considering revising our engineering standards at a future time to address these differences and make sure that we have more consistency with regards to these type of requests. Until we do so, I expect the Township Board will see more requests for variances coming forward. Since we're considering the Tractor Supply, I'll just run through real quickly the Tractor Supply review as well. So Tractor Supply was granted final site plan approval in March of this year. The project has been undergoing engineering review and has run into some concerns regarding the differences between our standard and the county stormwater ordinance. The variance they're requesting is from our engineering standard that the water quality system, that we require to have a water quality system in the form of either a forebay for the detention pond or a mechanical device is required to protect the detention system from sediments. So part of our findings for that that variance request is that the current Wayne County standards do not require a wet detention pond when a 4-foot deep, or do not require, I'm sorry, do not require a forebay when a 4-foot deep permanent pool is provided. Further, the county, in their email correspondence to the applicant, has requested that the forebay berms for the forebays be removed because the permanent pool effectively acts as the forebay. According to the applicant, removing the forebay will provide additional storage volume in their detention pond and provide for easier construction, will result in a more attractive pond area. The request does meet the variance conditions 3 and 4, where we can grant them, indicate that deviation shall be adequate for the use, shall be not substantially deviate from the performance of the pond. As a detention pond with a 4-foot depth acts as a forebay and as the storage volume will be increased, we believe the standard is met and we don't anticipate any detrimental to the public welfare for the area. The other thing that we wanted to highlight for this application is that the applicant's proposing a swale in areas as part of their stormwater system. This will allow for additional infiltration and acts as a water quality measure as well. So based on that, we're recommending approval of both. I do want to highlight that we have representatives from both Sheets and Tractor Supply sitting here in the audience. They're going to be available to answer any questions that the board may have on the stormwater system design. We also have Mr. Mike Lepick from Fishbeck, who's taken a look at our letters and who's been performing most of the reviews on the site. He's available to the board as well to help answer any questions that the board may have. So that concludes my summary.
Anybody have any questions?
Through the chair. I would just like maybe to express some of the concerns the Planning Commission had, especially with Sheets in the location and because of the drain problem and because of the trouble that they've had with flooding at Haggerty and Ecorse Road. And we would certainly like to be assured that this whole thing, when it is done, will help that situation as well as take care of their situation.
I guess I would invite the representatives from Sheets to come up and explain how the stormwater system is going to impact the county drain.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. Eric Williams with Stonefield Engineering and Design. So we were here previously as a part of the Sheets application. I know that was heavily discussed. As Mr. Akers alluded to, we are in the process of working with Wayne County and Mike Lepick with Fishbeck, obviously on the township side, to work through the full stormwater design. So as a part of that, we did conduct a HEC-RAS analysis, which is essentially a study of that drain. I think it extends all the way upstream and then downstream approximately 500 feet. And that was analyzing, based on the new improvements that we're making, right? So we're crossing the drain to get direct access to Ecorse via a box culvert structure. And then there will be some drain, I'll call it cleanup, minor regrading, just to make sure that the capacity is available. I think Wayne County, unfortunately, will openly tell you that they don't maintain these drains. So it is something that we are looking at doing as a part of the project, is cleaning up a portion to essentially ensure that any changes to that site will have no negative impact on the capacity of the drain. So what that study essentially states is that during the 100-year rainfall event, you would not see a negative impact on the existing drainage infrastructure. On top of that, so that's speaking about the drain itself, right, along the roadway. In addition to that, I think the exhibit that we submitted doesn't fully outline everything that's being done. I think we were trying to simplify it just so you guys could kind of see the site. But there are 2 proposed detention ponds on site, one at the northwest corner, one in the southeast corner. And those are both sized. And again, Mr. Akers can get into some of maybe the details in terms of the standards, but there are some standards that we have to meet as a part of being within Van Buren Township and then Wayne County. So some of that actually requires us to go above and beyond what maybe we would be required by Wayne County alone. So again, these standards will all be met. The idea is that the existing flows leaving the property will not be increased during a storm event less than the 100-year storm. So again, we're confident that we're meeting all standards. Are we solving all problems that exist? It's not possible, obviously, but we are not going to create a negative impact on the intersection as a whole.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Boynton?
You're having a hard time today, aren't you? I don't know if this is come on back up. I don't know if this is a fair question to ask you, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You mentioned that Wayne County stated or will state to you that they don't maintain these drains. With the seeming frequency of a 100-year storm happening 2 or 3 times a year, how help mitigate the amount of water that is building after these storms? Again, like I said, I don't know if it's fair to ask you this, but I'm thinking about that. You know, how do we mitigate that?
I mean, I think, so we're obviously, and I don't know, I can't recall the exact drainage area in our particular instance, but the threshold that this drain hit in this particular instance is greater than a 2 square mile drainage area. So we are, I think our property's 13 acres, we're developing about 2.5. We're 2.5 acres of development over 2 square miles. So we account for almost nothing, in my opinion. But with that, right, we're meeting all the stormwater standards. We're restricting the flows leaving the site to really what you're looking to do is create a pre-development condition. So we are paving the site, which increases runoff. However, we're restricting it on site to a rate that would have been seen prior to any development on the site. So I don't know if that fully answers your question. I think it's a very
It makes me
broad
feel a little
question.
bit better than what I heard
think,
earlier.
You know, really some of the issue, and this is like outside of the project, obviously, but historically detention wasn't always required. So sites were able to free flow from a property into a county drain. So I think when you talk about restricting, I think as sites come for redevelopment, you'll see townships, counties push for improvements to stormwater facilities. So a lot of the older properties don't have the same, they're not held to the same standards that obviously current sites are today.
Okay.
Any other questions? No, county's always had some of the highest standards out there. I mean, they're a pain to deal with. And, but we mirror them because that's what we've got to do. I mean, we're going to be, when they lowered their standards, they're still above everybody else's and more difficult than everybody else still out there. But it's foolish that we're still using their old standards, which were almost impossible to meet. And, you know, though we're happy to have Sheets and welcome, and we're very excited though to have Tractor Supply, and we do not want Tractor Supply to get caught in that mess. So, all right. Any other discussion? No? Hearing none, I've got Treasurer Bud's motion. I've got Trustee Boynton seconding it. We have no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Before we go on, Tractor Supply, when are you gonna, come on, when are you gonna open?
We would love to break ground in May. That's the goal.
Okay. And Sheets, when are you gonna open?
We have a long way to go in engineering. Probably not gonna break ground until the fall.
Oh, okay. All right. And how long is it gonna take you to build?
5, 6 months.
5, 6 months? And Tractor?
30 weeks.
30 weeks. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, yeah. You don't have to stick around anymore. You probably want to run. Next item is discussion on to consider approval of awarding a contract for the Tyler Road Sidewalk Gap Project.
Through the chair.
Actually, you can't make a motion on this one yet because I don't have a name. Do I?
Yeah, we do. Right here. Premier Group, that's the one who got.
Okay. All right, trustee Boynton, could you make the motion and make sure you add in Premier Group as the group that, being awarded?
I move that we approve of awarding the Premier Group Associates LC a contract for the Tyler Road Sidewalk Gap Project to be determined.
Oh, that's
okay,
why.
okay, strike that. Starting over. I move that we approve Premier Group Associates LC and a contract for the Tyler Road Sidewalk Gap Project
In the amount of, please add.
in the amount of $179,801.10.
Support.
Okay, got a motion, I've got support. Let's move forward then with Director Akers.
Thank you. So Van Buren Township was awarded 300 grand by Wayne County through their community development block grant funding to complete sidewalk gaps on the north side of Tyler Road between Morton Taylor and Haggerty. We are actively engaging in requiring the necessary easements to place the project out to bid with the bid opening date as of this morning. So our agreement with Wayne County requires that the project be completed and reimbursement requests be submitted to the county by June 30th, 2025. Due to staffing turnover, we begin this project a bit later than anticipated, and doing this, we are doing what we can to complete the project within the given time. It is due to this that we are coordinating our efforts with our engineers and are bringing this proposal before the board today. Scope of work of the project includes installing 5-foot sidewalk and gaps along Tyler Road, accompanied with the necessary tree removals and other removals. Please note that we will not be installing sidewalk along the Brookwood housing site, as that project is an active permitted project and they will be installing their own sidewalk. We have to date met with every property owner on their site with the exception of one to discuss the project and discuss the alignment of the sidewalk and potential removals on their property. So this morning, we conducted the bid opening at 10:30 a.m. We did have 8 responsive bidders, and the bid prices range from $179,801.10 to $328,156. Our engineers have reviewed the bids, and we and the engineers are recommending to conditionally award the bid to Premier Group Associates, which was the lowest qualified bidder. They have completed playground and other flat work for entities such as the City of Detroit and have met the qualifications of the bid. The conditional recommendation is, we're recommending they conditionally be awarded the contract. The conditional award requires that the contractor provide the acceptable insurance and bonds as required in the contract document. I do want to thank the board members for their consideration and patience during this matter. I know we don't like to bring things to the board last minute. And I am available, and Mr. Lepick is available from Fishbeck to answer any questions that the board may have.
Who are the references?
The references were the City of Detroit. And I don't know, Mike, could you come up, please?
And were they contacted? Okay. Just so the board understands, I'm going to give a little background real quickly. The county has some grant money that was federal grant money, I believe. It had to be spent. It wasn't being spent. They basically came and to the communities and said, "Who wants to try and spend this thing? And who give me a good project?" We came up with a sidewalk project. They awarded us some money and said, "You got to spend it by October." So now you know why we're opening the bid in the morning, you're getting it in the afternoon. We have to move really fast on this to spend it before they have to give it back to the federal government. So, all right, go ahead.
They have the city of Detroit. They also had Wayne County foreman there where they were certified by Wayne County as well.
Okay.
Detroit Business Certification. Our engineer, Kevin Ostrowski from Fishback, did reach out. I know they've also done some other work. I know Mr. Lepic has, or is in the process of beginning to work with them on a project in St. Clair County.
Yep.
For, I think it was an $800,000 park project. I don't know if you want
I
to.
can speak on that. We actually just had the pre-construction meeting with Premier Group yesterday. So this would complete coincidence that we're actually working on another project for that with them up in St. Clair County. And that project includes a parking lot, sidewalk, and a pavilion and a trailhead. So yeah, Kevin Ostrowski was the engineer from Fishbeck who worked on the sidewalk gap with Ron. I know he got a hold of the city of Detroit this morning. You know, bids were open this morning. He called as many people as he could. I think he got a hold of the city of Detroit, and they said they've done a couple parks with them, and overall they'd work with them again. I think there was some minor issues. That's normal in construction, but other than that, they've done a few parks with the city of Detroit, and they were able to. Kevin was able to speak up with the city of Detroit on that. So, I think that's about all of our experience with PGA at this time.
Before I keep on asking questions, does anybody else have a question? Okay, so the grant was for $300,000, and I haven't even had time to talk to anybody about this, and we have $179,000. What's gonna become of the $121,000? Are we going to be able to adjust this to put it in a nice little, yeah, or
We're going to be
bike station?
conversation with Wayne County. There are a couple existing sidewalk sections that are in this area that we've recently noticed due to the rains that there's been some flooding over, so we may look at repairing those. We'll evaluate the pavement condition of some of the existing sidewalk that's in front of the Hickory Woods development, in front of Parkwood, and we'll be replacing sections, and we'll see what other options we have to utilize the money. They may allow some other things that we could look into. So we're going to do our best to make sure that that full $300,000 gets spent.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't either. So I have a motion by trustee Boynton, supported by treasurer Bud regarding this. Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, or whatever. Yeah, thanks. All right, next item is to consider approval of a second reading of an ordinance. That means it's got to be read out. Who would like it? Trustee Martin.
I make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 03-18-25, an ordinance to amend the township zoning ordinance to rezone the property at 10401 Belleville Road from RM multiple family to C1 general business.
Support.
Thank you, Director Akers.
As this is the second reading of the rezoning, I'm not going to go through my presentation, but I can answer any questions the boards may have.
Give us a quick overview.
So the rezoning is a recommendation by, or request by L Car Wash to amend the zoning ordinance to rezone the property at 10401 Belleville Road from RM multiple family to C1 general business. This was reviewed by our planning consultants, and there was a recommendation for approval as the rezoning is consistent with the township's master plan and zoning ordinance. The planning commission considered this request. I don't have the specific meeting date in front of me, but there was a public hearing held on this request, I believe in early March or February. There was the only comment that we received was in opposition to the potential car wash development from a business owner that was located on Belleville Road. That opposition letter was included in the packet. At this time, because the rezoning is consistent with our zoning ordinance and master plan, both the planning commission and staff and our consultants are recommending approval. However, the car wash development will need to be reviewed based on when or if they do make an application, will need to be reviewed based on the zoning ordinance standards for special land use and site plan review. So they're gonna still have to meet all our rules, still have to meet all of our requirements, and including presenting a traffic impact study for the site, which I know was a major concern that had been brought up. So recommending approval of the rezoning. If the developer applies for the development, we'll make sure it gets reviewed based on the
So we're
standards.
not voting on the car wash today. We're voting on the zoning, okay. All right. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so then I'm just gonna call for the vote, which is a roll call vote. Deputy Treasurer, could you, do your, what? Deputy Clerk, could you do your,
Trustee Frazier? Yes. Trustee Kelly?
Yes.
Trustee Boyan? Yes. Trustee Martin? Yes. Treasurer Bud?
Yes.
Supervisor McNamara?
Thank you, that motion passes. That's halfway there. Next item is reports. We have none. Next item is public comment for non-agenda items. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak at this time? Come on up and name and address are not necessary, but if you'd like to, you can throw that into the record.
Rick Williams, 44521 Tyler Road. I've been here many years, and I complained about the same issue for at least 10+ years. You all know what that is? The water from McClary Drain. I'm tired of it. I begged you guys to do something about it, and you guys just slapped me in the face. You're putting in a new subdivision on Tyler and Morton Taylor. You're putting in sheets. You got all the warehouse space, all that water's going there. Then you got the dump. Once that dump gets a little higher, all that water that used to lay there in the woods, it's gonna go to the drain. What's the plan?
Director Akers, are you here? Can you give us an update on Wayne County drains? We got hit with another one of those 100-year rains on a 1-hour period.
Well, it's
And
every
so-
year. It's not 100 year, it's every year.
Okay. So at any rate, we are doing a study right now, and we're calling Wayne County drains regularly. On my desk, if you want to go back to my desk, I'll sit down, you can make an X where your house is, and I'll put you onto my mind plan, but I have 2 huge things of nothing but drains for Van Buren Township. Trying to come up with a way, with all this paperwork on top of it, trying to come up with a way to force Wayne County to do all of these drains.
Stop building.
That's not necessarily, that's not, your drains gotta be cleaned out. That's what it is. But go ahead.
Mine behind my house.
What?
It's mine behind my house.
How is that possible? I'm sorry, Director Akers.
McClary Drain behind my house is cleared. So it stops where it crosses Tyler Road. And then somewhere under Tyler Road where that drain goes is where it's all plugged up or something, because it's you go down Tyler Road and past my house, there's no water in the ditch.
We got like 5 minutes left in this meeting. You come back down to my office and show me exactly where that is.
On the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll talk about my other bitches
But
then.
go ahead, Ron. You should give them an update on our drains.
Just whatever. So anyways, I got another crate.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
One of the holdouts for the water meter. You guys voted on $72 fee for a manual meter read.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting billed on an estimate, not a manual read. So you guys want to put it back before the board, charge anybody $72 without a meter? That's the way to do it.
By law,
What you voted on is a manual read. And you're not doing a manual read on my house, you're doing an estimate. And I want the water department to credit my bills and my late fees.
By law, I am not allowed to charge you a $72 fee unless it costs us $72 to go take care of your house in particular.
Exactly.
And you are one of only about 2 or 3 dozen houses left in all of Van Buren Township that refuse to put in a water meter.
Yep, that's the way it is.
Then that's the way it is.
That's not what you voted on, though. You just said that. You just said it yourself.
I'd be breaking.
$72 to send a guy out there, and you're not sending a guy out there.
How are we getting a read? Are we
It's
sending
an
a guy out?
estimated read. It's right on my bill. Estimated. So how do you answer that? You got one for me?
Sooner or later, the guy's got to go out there. Okay.
Well, probably be later.
Let us change out the water meter.
It'll be later.
Okay.
And another thing, I showed up this morning at 7 o'clock, 7:15. You're not here. Treasurer
Not here
Bud's
at
not here.
7:15.
Clerk's not here.
7:15.
Like, you got 4 days to work. You got Friday off.
No, I don't. I don't have Friday off.
But you
And I
do
don't have
on
Saturday
your
off.
time. So I'm going to find out what you do in your spare time. So, you know, so it better be accounted for.
Okay. All right. Did you want to give a quick update on the drains?
Sure. So we, after the flooding, it was last week or the week before, we reached out to the deputy director or the deputy drain commissioner, Patrick Cullen. There's a handful of petition projects that are out in the township that we requested a status update for. Before with Wayne County, they were having, I'm not sure exactly what the limitation was, but there was some limit on financing and what they were able to finance. So for a long time, able to complete a number of drain projects because they didn't have the ability to go out and seek financing for them. So my understanding is as of last year, that cap got lifted. So we asked for updates on the McClory drain, on the McKinstry drain, and on the Jewett drain, which are all active petition projects. We were told by Patrick Cullen that the McKinstry drain project was going to begin later this year, or was slated to begin later this year, so they should be doing an extensive cleaning on that. They did indicate that they were working on obtaining financing for the Jewett drain project and for the McClory drain project. The other thing that they had highlighted is that recently there was a change at the state legislature. There was a change in the state law. One of the limitations they've indicated they had is that they're only allowed to spend I think it's $5,000 in maintenance for every 1 mile of drain, which as they have indicated, hasn't gotten them very far with maintenance with some of the cost increases we've had over the years. However, my understanding is that cap has been, or based on Patrick's email, that cap has been lifted from 5,000 to 10,000, and they feel like they're going to be able to do more heavier drain maintenance projects that they're required to do to help, restore some of the challenges that we've had around our community and other communities in the county. So we try to stay on top of them as best we're able, and every time these issues come up, we're referring complaints, and they've been responsive as of late, but we're still hoping to see some improvements.
We're actively going after all this. We can't move the county. We're trying to move them as much as we can. But their money problem is supposedly gone, which is huge. All right. Anybody else from the public that wishes to make comment? Hearing none, any of the board members? Do any of the board members want to make comment? Hearing none, let's call for adjournment. I need a motion to support. Mr. Frazier, Mr. Boynton, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.